So today we're starting some installing of wax foundation into some frames. This is a dedicated pot. That's wax on the side from last time. This is a piece of metal screen that goes in the bottom. You'll see why in a minute. When that boils, this glass pint jar of wax will sit in the bottom, and that metal screen will allow bubbles under the glass to get out. Otherwise the glass will tip over from the boiling. There's only about water about halfway up on that glass, because if the water is too deep, the glass tips over and the wax pours out into the water. It's terrible. There we go. That is set to boil, and while that's going to heat up, it'll take about an hour to melt that whole pint of wax, and so I'll prepare the frames in the meantime. Now once the water is boiling, you turn the heat down and let it simmer, like I say, about an hour for that little pint. You don't need boiling water. The steam is not necessary at all. The water should be hot. It's 150 to melt wax and 212 in the boiling water, so it's extra. You don't need all that extra heat. So old frames have wax in the groove from the last time you had foundation. Could have wax moth residue around, which these had. And so clean all that off. You got to clean that groove out. And the groove tool is just a hook with a handle, and it's got a flat 90-degree blade. It gets right in the groove. Make sure you've got gloves on, because it hurts. You've got to pull the wax out from the old time. Try not to hurt yourself. The easiest thing to do is, if your hand was in front of the hook, slipping and cutting across your veins there would be very bad. So don't let the tool hurt you. Assume that it will, and don't let it. You can save this wax for melting, like I do. It's pretty clean, unless the wax moths have been in it. Anyway, so that groove is cleaned up. If your frames happen to be the groove kind, or not groove, but wedge kind, these are called wedged frames. Piece of wood missing there. You take the wood out and clean everything just like before. You've got your piece of wood also, then bring that in to the kitchen too. You don't need nails, actually. Nails don't really work as well as the hot wax, so forget about the nails. So here we start heating the tool. There's the tool. It goes in after the wax has melted enough. You can use the tool actually to see if the wax has melted. If it goes to the bottom, then you're almost ready. Of course, there are big chunks of wax still in the bottom, but you can put the tool in there and let it start to get hot. The wax flows up into the tool. It's mainly just a tube with an opening at the bottom. The wax flows up into it only because there's a vent hole near the top. And whether or not you use the vent hole in your work, the vent hole has to be open for the wax to go up into the tool. So the worst thing is to turn the tool upside down with wax in it, because then the wax will fill that vent hole. I'm going to show the vent hole here with my first finger. There it is. You have to find yours. It's hard to see. But you can close the hole, and then it slows the wax leaving the tool a little bit. It doesn't work that well, but it does allow the wax to go up into the tool, so it has to be free. So do not let the wax go up into the top of the tool, because then the vent hole will be stuck and you'll have to use a paper clip to clean it out again. Anyway, here we go. So I use whatever foundation I've got. I've got some cut comb foundation for a super, and I cut them in half. You only need a couple inches per frame, so cut something down. Never use wire in the bottom if you can help it. So for the grooved frame, you simply fit the foundation into the groove. Get ready with your tool. Find where the vent hole is. Have your paper close by so you don't drip on the counter. And fill the groove with the wax. Put the tool back in the pot. Got hot wax now in the groove. And don't tip it upside down for a while. Maybe straighten the foundation so it's upright. And only one side is necessary. If you get enough wax in the groove, that's only one side is necessary. You don't have to do both sides. But don't touch it for a while because it's so hot it'll tear easily if you try to move it. So leave it upside down for a minute, move it aside, and do the next one. Oh yes, why are we using only strips of foundation? So that the bees can know where to build but not be forced to make all worker cells. That's the reason mites have taken over. We forced them to have only worker cells. The mites had to learn how to eat the worker pupa. So we leave the strip small so the bees can make any size cell they want, any drones they like, so then the mites and the bees get in the proper relationship again. This one here is the one wedged frame I have. So you put the wedge in place, make it a little bit of a wide gap, and then add the wax as normal, but then watch what I do. Here's the wax coming in. Put the tool back and then squeeze the wedge in tighter and hold it down as the wax cools. I think that's better than the little brads that most people would use. I think this holds tighter, much easier. You don't need to be pounding anything. Anyway, that's what I think. So that's how we add foundation to main frames. When you're done, of course, you must remove the tool from the jar, get all the wax out, let it cool outside the jar, add some wax to the jar so next time you come along the jar will have enough wax in it. Pull it out and let it cool. Throw out your water before anything cools so the wax is still liquid. Anyway, that's the whole process. Bye-bye.